Have you ever observed how some women avoid obvious flirting? Instead of being direct, they quietly test your awareness, especially when you're a man over 50. Around you, their behavior shifts. They don't want to come across as needy or too available, so they communicate differently through subtle questions. And here's what many men fail to realize. When a woman feels attracted to a mature man, she almost always asks two very specific questions. These questions act like signals hidden in plain sight. Before we get into them, take a second to like this and comment if you've ever looked back and realized you missed a woman's signal. That simple action helps this message reach other men who need to understand it. Many men over 50 believe they've become invisible to women, especially younger ones or even women their own age. But the truth is the opposite. Mature men can be incredibly attractive when they truly understand how women communicate. The real issue isn't a lack of interest from women, it's misreading the signals. Too often, men assume she's just being polite when she's actually opening a door. Women rarely express attraction in an obvious way. Instead, they observe your emotional steadiness, your presence, and your attention to detail. Feminine psychology is subtle. When a woman begins to see you as someone she could trust, emotionally, physically, even intimately, her energy changes. Casual conversation becomes more intentional. Her curiosity becomes focused. She begins asking questions designed to reveal three things: your strength and stability, your emotional availability, and your awareness, whether you can recognize genuine interest when it's right in front of you. This is when the two key questions appear. To understand their importance, you need to grasp a deeper truth. Many men over 50 expect clear, direct communication because they grew up in a time when people were more straightforward. But today, even emotionally mature women express interest differently. They don't say, "I'm attracted to you" or "I want something with you." Instead, they explore. They ask carefully chosen questions to gauge whether you're a man they can move toward without risking rejection. Because there's a quiet fear many women carry, especially around older men. If she shows interest too openly, she worries she'll be seen as needy. So she disguises attraction as curiosity. To a man who isn't paying attention, these questions seem harmless. But if you miss them, she likely won't repeat them. Women rarely extend the same emotional invitation twice. Feminine communication is layered, where men often express interest through actions, offering help, guidance, or protection. Women express it through questions that hint at closeness. Out of the many things she might ask in everyday conversation, two questions consistently appear when she's gently exploring intimacy with a mature man. But first, understand this. She isn't asking to gather information. She's trying to feel you. She wants to sense, are you calm, grounded, open? Do you carry quiet confidence, or do you hide behind politeness? These questions aren't about facts. They're about connection. They create a subtle bridge between you and her. And she's watching to see if you step onto it with awareness. Most men answer these questions on the surface, but a grounded man understands what's beneath them. When she asks, she's not collecting details. She's checking alignment. She's seeing whether you notice what's unspoken. When a woman is drawn to you, she doesn't need displays of wealth, strength, or long stories. She needs to feel your presence, calm, aware, and steady. These two questions matter because they are not random, they are invitations. The first question is about your availability, not your schedule, but your emotional openness. She wants to know if there's space for her in your life. It's her way of asking, are you open or closed? Can you connect, or are you hidden inside routines? Women don't invest emotionally without first sensing openness. This question is her version of leaning slightly closer to see if you lean in too. But most men miss it, assuming it's just casual conversation. The second question is about your direction, not your job or achievements, but your inner compass. She wants to feel whether your life has purpose, movement, and stability. Women are drawn to men who are anchored. men who know who they are and where they're going. This question helps her sense, is this a man who is emotionally grounded? Does he create a feeling of safety? Does he have boundaries or is he drifting? It's not about details, it's about your core. For men over 50, this becomes even more important. At this stage of life, women often assume you've already lived through your major emotional chapters. So they hesitate to step in unless they feel there's space for them and that your life still has direction. These two simple, almost invisible questions are her way of finding out. You might overlook compliments or body language, but if you miss these questions, you miss the exact moment she's opening a door. And once that door closes, it rarely opens again. When a woman wants more than friendly conversation, when she's open to emotional and physical closeness, she tests the connection with these two questions. They appear across cultures and ages because they come directly from feminine psychology. Here they are. The first question: do you spend a lot of time alone? It sounds innocent, but it isn't. What she's really asking is there room for me? Women phrase it in different ways. Do you usually go out alone? Are you more of a private person? Are you seeing anyone or just focusing on yourself lately? This isn't about loneliness, it's about access. She's trying to understand whether you're emotionally available or closed off. If she didn't feel anything, she wouldn't care how you spend your time. Most men answer this literally, but a grounded man hears the meaning behind it. A better response is calm, open, and balanced. I enjoy my space, but I'm always open to good company. Or I like my routine, but I'm open to someone who brings something meaningful. This communicates openness without neediness, strength without distance. When you respond this way, she feels safe, curious, and drawn in. And that leads to the second question, the deeper one. What are you looking for these days? This is not small talk. This is a woman considering you as a potential partner. She might phrase it differently. What do you want at this stage of your life? What direction are you heading in? What matters most to you right now? Through this question, she's trying to feel your direction. For a woman to open emotionally or physically, especially to a mature man, she needs to sense that you're intentional, that you know yourself, that you're not stuck in the past or drifting through life. Men who answer vaguely, I'm just going with the flow, or I'm not sure, break the moment without realizing it. To her, that sounds like uncertainty, and women don't invest in uncertainty. A strong response doesn't need to be long. It just needs clarity. I'm building a meaningful chapter with the right people, or I'm focused on connection that feels real and natural, or I want a life that's intentional, full of purpose and meaningful experiences. This shows movement, clarity, and emotional awareness. It gives her space to imagine herself in your life. And that's powerful. Because what many men over 50 don't fully realize is this: women want a man who is alive inside, not just physically present, but emotionally engaged. These two questions are deeply connected to attraction. Women don't ask them randomly. They ask when they feel something. The first measures your openness. The second measures your direction. When a man is both open and purposeful, he creates emotional pull. He becomes someone a woman wants to move toward. Women don't need perfection. They need clarity. And clarity creates safety, while safety builds attraction. Picture a real moment. You're talking, maybe at a cafe, a bookstore, a gathering, or even online. The conversation flows easily. There's warmth, a subtle tension. Then she asks, so, do you spend a lot of time alone? That's her first step toward you. Later, she asks, what are you looking for these days? That's her second step, deciding whether to go deeper. These aren't random questions. They are emotional checkpoints, and women rarely ask them unless they feel something. Remember this? A woman who wants intimacy won't say it directly. She won't confess it outright. Instead, she asks, are you open? Are you alive and moving forward? These questions aren't about your plans, they're about your energy. If you recognize them, you step into the moment. If you miss them, the moment disappears. Women rarely repeat emotional invitations. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this. She isn't testing your words, she's reading your awareness. When you understand the signals behind her questions, you stop guessing. You start seeing clearly. Before you go, comment I see the signs if this made sense to you. It helps this message reach more men who need it. Women communicate attraction in ways that are subtle, emotional, and often invisible to men expecting direct signals. And for mature men, this matters even more. Women expect depth, clarity, and presence from you. A younger man can be uncertain and still be seen as figuring things out. But a man over 50 is expected to know who he is. That's why her interest shows up through emotional cues, not obvious moves. When she asks about your openness or your direction, she's not gathering information. She's feeling your inner world. And in the end, attraction isn't built on what you have. It's built on how you make her feel seen, understood, and emotionally safe. If you want to create that kind of connection, it starts with one simple skill: truly listening. Not just to her words, but to the emotion behind them. Because when you listen with full presence, without distraction or judgment, you give her something rare, the feeling that she matters. And that's where real connection begins.